But
We have video.
We have video, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, these are damning pieces
Absolutely.
because they show that Fox, Roger Ailes, who might, in my estimation, historically prove to be one of the most destructive,
Vile.
evil Americans ever. Ever.
Yes.
I mean, and maybe there are other vile, but this one had power, and this one had the will to do cynically exactly what he did, which is create the America you see today.
A political universe that is so out of whack, and one where that people like him flourish.
Yeah, he's a rich guy now too. Sure, I mean you
powerful, rich.
get lots of money doing that.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you think there's any recovering from what the damage that Ailes and Fox have done to our ability as a community, as a nation, to perceive ourselves as some kind of a communal entity, and also to be able to reason together? Is there any going back? The damage?
Not going back, but there is hope going forward. At least, I mean, well, first of all,
because his audience is half dead.
well, the average age of a Fox viewer is 68.
Jeez, that's even older than me.
The average Fox viewer, his age is 68, and
Advertisers don't like that. I'll tell you that right now.
No, and Rush Limbaugh, his average viewer is
110.
it's in the 60s.
Yeah.
And not only is for that 68, I mean that means that half the people viewing are over 68. And that's mathematically that's not precisely true,
yeah,
but it's you get the idea. That when you look at Rush Limbaugh, his ratings have been tanking.
Totally.
And I posted a piece on this I think 2 days ago, where it is that he's behind classical music. The classical music channel in New York City
is beating him, but New York is not his
sure. But
market.
That's happening in every urban center in the United States, where I shouldn't say all of them. I should say most of the major markets.
Yeah,
that he has foreign language stations beating him. That he requires infusions of huge amounts of money.
Okay, so who's been, radio stations you would think, or networks, do not exist to, just charitably keep some guy on the air who used to make a money but isn't anymore. So
sure.
How do you explain his continued presence all over the place? Who's holding him up?
Well, the Koch brothers. Well, one of the things I posted talked about how it was that the Koch brothers.
I mean, literally. Yeah, but what you said is, do they understand? I mean, why would it be? It raised the issue of that it could be a crime for the Koch brothers to be
doing that.
Giving money to
payola.
It would be like that old payola thing that you had to do with, which records the DJs played and if they were getting money under the table from the record company.
Exactly.
So that still would apply?
It might. I
don't think.
I'm skeptical.
Yeah,
I'm skeptical of that particular dimension to it. But
what, that
here's
they
the thing.
pay him and then he spouts their politics?
Yep. But there's a series of groups that have really targeted his what are they? His sponsors.
Yes, exactly.
And they have been surprisingly successful. I think they've had over 3,000 sponsors pull their sponsorship.
Right.
I mean,
and they're all big. I mean, these are the big ones. I don't listen, but I bet he's got a lot of stuff for
giveaway. He has to, public service stuff. Yeah,
and they're giving
it
away their time. In order, I don't know if you know this, but when he was trying to establish himself, and when the right-wing talk machine and radio was trying to establish themselves, do you know what they did? And I'll tell you, this shows the deep pockets. They would give Rush Limbaugh to a station free.
Yeah.
For a while to gin it up for, some time. And I know that a lot of these other lesser right-wing gas bags also were part of some kind of an entity that could afford to feed when, what's his name? That horrible Liddy had
G. Gordon Liddy.
G. Gordon Liddy and Oliver North.
Yeah.
Those types, those sort of, lesser.
Bottom feeders.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I worked at WPTT, I was told, my God, they just gave these shows to stations like that.
Yeah.
That's why they're on in every little market.
Yeah.
Well, someone is underwriting that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think since the 60s, there has been a very concentrated effort. And I'm not sure. I know when I called into your program several times, we talked about this, the creation of an alternative media. Yeah. That since the 60s, there was some right-wing powers that be decided that they couldn't tolerate what was passing for the news media then, and what they decided to take on was creation of an alternative media universe.
Exactly right.
And it started with think tanks, magazines, journals, to then
publishing houses,
radio stations, and television stations now. And now it's on the internet.
And they've captured. This is why when we're talking about politics and how. Where do these people get their information? What are they talking? Literally created a bubble that a whole bunch, millions upon millions of Americans can comfortably live in and feel beleaguered and victimized and furious and support people like the lunatic rancher who says he doesn't acknowledge the existence of the United States, the government of the United States of America, and yet he rides around waving the flag. Yeah, and Jon Stewart said, "Get your own flag, for God's sake!" At least the Confederates, they had graphic artists come in and they made themselves a flag. If you don't believe in the United States government, don't be carrying around the stars and stripes, you friggin' idiot.
Yes.
Oh.
Well. Right. Yes.
Roger Ailes.
Yeah.
You're gonna rot in hell.
Well, he's certainly rotting in the latest book out about him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like he did everything he could to cut that one off at the knees, and it didn't quite work out for him.
All right. But, so you have been I'm going to change the subject. You have been an apologist for Obamacare.
I know.
Since day one.
Yep.
And now I suppose you
do I feel 100% fully vindicated?
Not yet. Yes?
Almost.
Almost. 99.9? Really?
Not maybe in the low 90s.
You're doing a victory lap of sorts.
Sort of in my tubby kind of overweight kind of
Okay, but so here's the thing. So even with this unbelievably embarrassing rollout of the website, they managed, despite the fact that the thing was down literally for a long time.
6 to 8 weeks, yeah.
They managed to make their goal and, in fact, exceed it.
Yes. And those numbers will continue to grow. And
they will just continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. What's interesting, though, is if you know somebody who gets their news from Roger Ailes,
yes,
they think
it's a total
failure. The books are cooked. The Republicans are going to possibly take the Senate, and they're going to up their numbers in the House in the midterm elections, and they're going to do it running against this Obamacare.
Right.
Well, that might work for them, huh? Amongst their
in my view, what has worked about what the Republicans have done is it comes from a very successful, if very cynical place, which is if you keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you can pull together a couple of wheat straws of evidence to support what you're saying.
Well, isn't this is what Hitler's propaganda minister famously said, right?
Well, I'm not sure.
Goebbels?
I'm not sure if that's the exact quote.
But I mean, no, it's not. But didn't he say something like, if you're going to,
absolutely,
you just keep repeating the lie, and not only repetition, but if you're going to lie,
make it a big one.
Make it a big one, because no one will believe that you
have the cynicism to say what you're saying.
Or the gall to try to sell something. And it's exactly the kind of thing like the Swift boaters did to Kerry, and it's just
death panels.
Do the thing that is just the most, and people will, if you have the means to repeat it, which they do because they control AM radio and cable and all that stuff. Yeah.
Here's and in my view, it's their only hope. And you'll hear some commentators talk about this. I have a slightly different take on it, the way that most people hold it, and that is that the Democrats and their supporters and people like you and me in our conversations for the next number of months until November, that they need to trumpet the accomplishments of Obamacare at every opportunity, because just as the Republicans have been successful in demonizing
with their anecdotes,
with this narrative,
by
being silent, the Democrats reinforce the narrative, and it's the voters are just average kind of voter type people that if you come with the message and you say it. And you just beat on it. And
when do Democrats learn this lesson? I mean, how many times do we have to get our clock cleaned? Because Republicans they frame the narrative and then they just pound away at it, and we just sort of like don't do a damn thing and we don't get our voters out. And what is with these Democrats are by nature, obviously, a bunch of shiftless, lazy bums.
Yes.
Exactly what Republicans think of us.
Boneless wonders.
That's right.
As Winston Churchill said.
Boneless wonders.
Oh, it was a great anecdote by Winston Churchill where he talked about, he was in opposition to I forget, I think it was Neville Chamberlain.
Me too. I'm in opposition.
He talked about
the appeasement.
Well, in part, yes. The target was the impeachment. It may have been the previous prime minister, but Churchill stood up in the House of Commons and he talked about when he was a boy, and his mother, who was Jeannie
an
Churchill
American
Randolph, that he had seen at the local circus, and they had a freak show, and they had a big sign that said, "Come and see the boneless wonder." and his mother felt that that was just far too shocking a sight for her little boy to see, and so she wouldn't let him go and see it. Well, on the floor of the House of Commons that day, he had finally fulfilled his childhood ambition and seen the boneless wonder.
Oh man!
And it was the prime minister at the time who had this policy of appeasement. So the Democrats we have that caucus wrapped up.
Okay, I think we do. We also have the first third of the program sewn up.
Okay.
And so we're going to take a quick break and return. Change of topic.
Yeah.
We've got a visual aid here that we want to share with you. It'll blow your mind after this.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Pittsburgh City Paper's Travel Guide magazine is available now. Pick up one today for a look at great travel destinations in PA, Ohio, New York, and West Virginia. Plus the Silkscreen Film Festival, food trucks, and news of the weird. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, your smartphone at citypapermobile.com, and at the iPhone App Store and Google Play.
Foodies unite at Good Taste Pittsburgh. Saturday, April 26th from 10 to 4 at the Pittsburgh Marriott North and Cranberry. Sample fabulous food products, wine and spirits, and take home something special for your favorite foodie. Watch as Food Network chef Ram Fama and Pittsburgh's premier cocktail chef Stephen Kowalczuk demonstrate their culinary skills. It's National Pretzel Day, and Snyder's of Hanover has great fun planned for everyone. Help us celebrate the pretzel and root on the finalist of our Recipe with a Twist contest as they bring their winning recipe to life on stage. Tickets are $15 online at goodtastepittsburgh.com. Good Taste Pittsburgh, a fun food-filled day. Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. That was actually something I needed to hear.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, yeah.
On to the next thing.
On to the next thing. Excuse us. So, I was watching an old World War II movie the other day because we were talking
Which
about
one?
One I'd never seen before. It wasn't very good. What was it? It was about aircraft carrier. It was about pilots land. And it is mind-blowing to watch those planes come in.
Yes.
Come in on
Yes.
that little and stop, not go barreling off and then the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, aircraft carriers are quite impressive pieces of technology.
God. So believe it or not, this is what we want to talk about just for a sec. Aircraft carriers. You counting? Okay. Okay, wait. We got to count. Jared is counting.
19, yeah.
We have America, the United States of America, now has operating.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Operating, yeah.
How many aircraft carriers?
19.
Well, that doesn't sound like much for a big country like ours. Seriously, 19?
Well,
that's all?
Yeah.
It's not like 100?
Yeah.
19 aircraft carriers.
Yes.
Okay. These are big things. These are like floating,
Cities.
huge metropolises.
Yes.
Okay. Now, well, let's take some of our big enemies. Okay. How many aircraft carriers does China have?
1.
1?
Yeah. That one.
Well, okay, but so they're up and coming. I'm sure they're building more. What about the Ruskies? The Russians, the scary Russians. They've got to have a ton.
1.
1?
Yeah. Yeah, they have 1.
The Russians have 1.
I mean, if you the whole rest of the world only has 12. I mean, we have 19. The United States has 19, and the whole rest of the world have 12. Yeah.
My follow-up question couldn't come out because my mouth was hanging. You can't talk. You can't talk with your mouth hanging open like that.
Yeah.
Are you, excuse me, effing kidding me?
No.
Wait a minute.
Well,
this is what Jess, when I walked in today, Jess was screaming.
Yes.
Is that what you were screaming about? He had just done the same thing with you?
Yeah.
What? The entire rest of the world has 12?
Yeah.
And we have 19.
Yeah, and they're split between nuclear-powered supercarriers, which are kind of the somewhat bigger sized.
And there's not any in the rest of the world that are as big as one of our supercarriers.
Correct. And there's actually a new class of aircraft.
I'm just going to see all those. Wait. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, that there actually is a new class.
This
a
is
new
the rest
class.
Of the world.
Yeah, a new class called the Gerald Ford class that's due to come out, and I think it's within the next year or two.
That sinks upon leaving port.
Well, that's the next generation. These are all the old
Okay,
generation.
so we're creating a next generation. The Gerald Ford, aptly named, I think.
Good Navy man.
Guy. He was a good Navy man. He was a good man in general.
Yes.
I shouldn't cast aspersions. However, wait a minute. We have 19. The rest of the whole friggin' world has 12. And by the way, like Italy has 1. Thailand has 1.
Brazil has 1.
Brazil has 1. The UK has 2.
Yeah, the Great British Navy.
Yeah, the Great British Navy has 2, and they're little 2 teeny little ones, like only toy planes can land on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We are about to build the next class
of supercarrier, yeah. Yeah.
Let me go to a great Army man and former president, Dwight David Eisenhower, who famously and presciently warned about the military industrial complex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You want to know where your tax dollars go? They go down the friggin' drain.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what one of these babies costs?
I believe, I can't remember. I was telling Jess before, it was either $12 billion or $120 billion.
Oh, $120 billion. Okay, we got 19. Is that what we said, 19?
Yes.
Okay.
It may be $12 billion.
Okay, instead of building number 20,
yeah.
How about, can you imagine what we could do with that money?
No. Yeah.
We could start to fix our crumbling infrastructure. We could, bail out public schools. We could...
Yeah. We could have a single-payer system that made sense. You know, we could...
Is the Navy asking for this? Or is this one of those things where some industrialist is asking for this and talking about the jobs it will create and going to the senators at the Foreign Affairs Committee that have the right? I mean,
here's what I would say about that. That the primary and I could be wrong on this, but it's one of the causes of this, and this I'm not wrong about, is that what's driving this is lawmakers.
Of course.
Who want to be able to go back to their constituents and come back with the military-industrial payola that comes with this.
Okay, it has to do with jobs.
And the election year arguments that they can make about having been tough on defense.
And making us strong.
America, yeah.
Now, there is something to be said. You know, the U.S. has bases everywhere.
That's right.
This is less expensive to, instead of having bases, is it not, to have these floating bases? So we can shift our bases to wherever we need them, wherever there's... We got a call. Hello, caller.
Hi, Lynn?
Yes, sir.
I read the Defense Department says we do not need any more tanks.
Tanks?
Yes.
Well,
but
they'll
Congress
get
says,
more.
yes, you do, and you must continue building them.
Right,
yes.
Right. Exactly right. This is what they do all the time.
Same with certain types of helicopters and other types of aircraft.
The military says, we don't want them. We don't need them. And it doesn't matter. They're going to get them.
That's it.
Well, there's 600 or 700 people in Ohio who built these things.
Yeah.
So if you would not make tanks anymore, they would all lose their jobs, plus all the suppliers would, lose their jobs and things like that. And the Congress is saying we have to have this in place in case there is a need, or we absolutely need tanks. We cannot just start all over from scratch. So we have to keep it going.
Yeah, right. Okay. I know that's what they say. Is this insane? Is this insanity or what? That because people have jobs doing something unnecessary, producing something unnecessary, we have to keep producing those unnecessary things because otherwise they will lose their jobs. How about a reasonable jobs program which allows people to create things that are necessary?
Well, I mean, look at it realistically. If you close that plant in Ohio, 600 people lose their jobs. In that area of Ohio, there's probably not 600 available jobs for them to go to.
Right.
So
I mean, what do you do?
Oh, well,
Well, if you canceled some of these big defense programs, you could probably have all kinds of different things that you could do with that money that would train them for jobs that would be useful and hireable. But that's actually not. I have a slightly different take on this conversation.
All right, okay, let's hear it.
And
thank you, caller. By the way, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. This is one of the reasons why, and I actually posted this chart that we're discussing to my blog last Thursday. That's when I posted it. But it is, for me, having seen this chart, and it's like, okay, I want to hear what the reasons are to have it this. What are the reasons?
Well, did I come up with one with the floating bases?
That's one.
Okay, I get that one.
And yet, we have the United States has, I think, close to 1,000 bases around the world. But from little encampments up to full-blown like Camp Lejeune kind of setups around the world, and for me, I am open to hearing an argument. What is the argument? I want to hear it.
Well, we're not going to hear it because we got a caller.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
Maybe the caller has a.
Hi, Clarence.
Hi, Clarence.
I've always thought about the like these tank plants and things like that. That they got to close down because they're not building tanks. Why not use the same plants to build things like high-speed rail? More modern things that could be useful.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
why don't we
energy efficient things?
Right. Why don't? Where is this American, how-to innovative? Take that plant, retrofit it into something necessary, and of course, this would require the government, I suppose, to come in and help do that. And
the military is what? These military contracts are coming from who?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still the government. It's the same thing. There's no difference. Except we'll call it defense. That's like the highway system was. Oh, we need this for national, defense.
That's true. The interstate highway system was necessary for national defense.
We'll need to get these people out of this town quick, so we'll build a high-speed rail system.
Right.
Just in case of a terror attack, we'll have a way to get people out of town so there's not traffic on the highways. How about that? That's a national defense thing.
Yeah, I gotcha. If we just call it national defense.
Yeah. Yes. We could have a national defense solar energy program.
Well, you know what?
There you go.
You know what? I could sell that. You can sell that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is saleable. That our national defense depends upon,
not being connected up to the grid.
Yeah.
The grid is in danger.
So that if a terrorist takes out without a doubt. And because our infrastructure is fakakta, look it up.
All you got to do is repeat these ideas often enough and loud enough, and
That's
it becomes...
Well, it's interesting that you say this because when Dwight Eisenhower originally proposed the Interstate Highway Act, there was these hawks who promoted the defense argument, and Eisenhower laughed up his sleeve it's like there'll be 10% out there for whom that will make the difference for whether they support this legislation. It has nothing to do with that.
He was thinking, hey, you see, tanks don't need highways. Tanks, we rolled all over Europe, and they weren't highways.
Sure. And I actually did some work on highway specifications and estimates a number of years ago, and they're not designed. There are many sections of highway that aren't designed to hold tanks anyway.
Yeah, they'll crumble.
They're just.
They're not designed to carry fracking
at least
trucks
the modern
either.
tank, like the modern tank. They're not designed to hold up those. So it's so much for that old argument.
Well,
Well, I had a pun that I can't fit in here, so I'm just going to say that it's a tankless job. Somewhere I can't fit it in smoothly, so I'm just saying it.
Thank you. We'll find a place for it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Clarence.
Oh, well. So much for it being a tankless job.
Margaret asks, is there any carrier named after Jimmy Carter, which makes talk about a good Navy man?
I know there's some vessel. There is at least one vessel named after him, and I don't know if it's an aircraft carrier, though.
Yeah, it's probably a rowboat.
I actually suspect it might be a submarine.
Oh, okay.
Because he was a nuclear
sub guy. That's right. He was a nuclear sub.
But I could be wrong about that.
Okay.
I maybe
okay. So you were saying.
Yeah. That. So I'm open to the argument. To an argument. Let me. It's like okay. This is what we're doing. Why exactly are we doing this? And, you had mentioned the issue of bases. Aircraft carriers make for nice alternatives to bases, and it makes a difference not having a base versus having one of these. Okay, well, that's one argument. Right. Do we need 19 of them? I'm not so sure. But, the other argument, I think the one that is so often not stated.
You'll never get this out.
Okay, should we go through the call first?
Yeah, the call's coming in. Hello.
Okay. Hi, I'm just wondering where you got his numbers from.
This was posted by an outfit called globalsecurity.org.
Okay.
It got picked up last Thursday, and I posted it on my blog last Thursday.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10. I'll give you the name.
Oh, wait. Well, hold on.
No, wait.
Hold on. There are 10 super carriers. Okay, but then there is 9 more that are called amphibious assault vessels that are like small aircraft carriers.
In fact, they're as big as all these other countries' aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 10 is what they call the Nimitz class.
Right. Yeah, and those are they're the largest vessels in the U.S. Navy, but right behind them are the amphibious assault vessels, which
you and I would call an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, they have a smaller they can't hold as much, and there's only certain types of planes and aircraft that they can use, but most of the rest of the world, I shouldn't say most, at least half the rest of the world, what passes for their carriers, like Spain and Italy, are amphibious assault vessels.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Gerald R. Ford is supposed to be
the next generation. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but great point, and definitely a point worth making. That there are these different classifications, and sometimes people they pretend like the amphibious assault vessels aren't carriers at all, and that's
where to our eye they are carriers,
and by the rest of the world's standards.
That's exactly right. If you look at, they look like the rest of the world's carriers.
There's only two countries in the world that have, China and Russia,
who have a super Nimitz class like.
Yeah, that's even close to the Nimitz class. Yeah.
Right. So thank you for that.
Yep, great distinction to be put in.
Right. Somebody is suggesting that, instead of building tanks, how about building solar panels? And then Chris says, did you see the other day that Oklahoma signed into law a bill that literally fines people for using solar panels for their homes?
Yes.
Did you? Oh, God. Well, Oklahoma's an oil state. Okay.
That's it.
You better try real hard now to
get this point in that I think one of the unstated arguments, and no American politician could ever get away with saying this, is that I think that in the last 40 years, somewhere it was decided that what was needed in the world was a global police force of some kind. And that
sound the bugle. Right.
That one way to do this was through international organizations like the United Nations, and the U.S. has never trusted the United Nations to have anything like that kind of capability, as a lot of other countries, they don't trust it. So what you do instead is you invest in something like this that acts as there's the military dimension, but there's also the trade dimension to this. That there's an economic dimension to this, that it keeps the corridors of the global economy running. And there again, I'm open to hearing an argument on this, but I'm skeptical. And
the poor American taxpayer.
Yes.
Gee whiz. Honest to Pete. There was a front page story in the Times today about the American middle class. Literally, we know it's disappearing, but it is sinking under, if you want the much vaunted American middle class, it's nowhere near the middle class that Canada has.
Right.
Or
that came out,
the Brits have, or the Swedes have.
Europe
or the
has passed us
Germany
now.
has passed us. America's going down, except for our 1%.
Yes.
They're doing very well, thank you very much. Americans have been getting screwed because all of our money is going into shit that we don't need.
Yeah.
To keep cynical politicians in office and to keep corporatists in their mansions.
The other piece that I see to this that leaps out in terms of this chart is how it is that China and Russia, as of this Ukrainian adventure, are now kind of the international bogeymen for American hawks.
Oh, yeah.
And
isn't it great to have the Russians back in that role?
Well, just to look at the Chinese for a moment, I've been going on about this in my blog for a couple of years now, talking about how it is that China has been built up into this enormous. It's like it's on the cusp of being a great superpower.
And anybody who reads your blog knows that China's military is a laughing stock. I mean, and but they're
it's not in the same league. And to try and build it up, I question the political motives often of people who cite China as our next big threat. And that's one of the reasons why I presented this on my blog. It was aimed as much at as the budget issue as at people who tout China as this next big thing that the United States will need to take on. For me, that's a dangerous argument because it lives to support budgets that we can't sustain,
and it's not based on reality.
It's not, and it creates another dimension of paranoia that lawmakers and talking heads on radio can scream to the hills and manipulate people.
Oh, man. All right. We got to take a break.
Okay.
Are you wait. Oh, okay, it's okay. It's okay.
PGHcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
BergBargains.com is your best bet for great deals in the Berg. Log on today for exclusive bargains from your favorite events and shows like Pyropest, City Theater, and the Improv. Plus discounts on gift cards to P.F. Chang's, Wing Hearts, and Rumfish. BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. BergBargains.com.
It's the Women in Film and Television International Summit, and it is coming right here, May 16th through the 18th at the Westin. If you are interested in the film and television industry, this is where you will want to be. Panel discussions, screening, speakers. I'm going to be emceeing a dinner Saturday night where we'll honor the director of Twilight, Catherine Hardwicke. To register, just go to WIFTISummit.org. WIFTISummit.org. Oh, by the way, the summit is open to anyone, men included.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okay, I'm going to let, let's see, Russ get a word in here, and then we're going to go lighter. Why can't we use the money that one or two of those tanks cost and retrofit the plant in Ohio? There it is, see? And retrain the workers. Better yet, they could probably use the appropriated monies and give it to the damn workers, and they never have to work again.
Yep.
All that would be a better use. Of the money.
Send those people to school.
Exactly.
And
give each one of them $300,000.
2, 3, 4 year
$500,000.
Training a routine that'll train them to be the next generation of workers in a cutting edge field.
Jeez, man, nincompoops. Okay.
Yes.
I promised at the beginning that we would go lighter toward the end, and now we're at the end. And so lighter is what we're doing, and we're doing it with classical movies. And it is widely agreed, is it not, that 1939 was the greatest year for movies in America?
I would say.
Can I list the best,
go for it.
The Best Picture nominees?
Yes.
For the Oscars. 1939 is the year.
We can swoon.
It's unbelievable. And they, back then, like they do now, they had 10 nominations, and it's a damn good thing they had 10.
Yep, it's a worthy list.
You tell me who should have won. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. 1939. Mm-hmm. Stagecoach.
Right.
That was on last night.
John Wayne, yeah.
John Wayne, director John Ford. Mm-hmm. This is the one that made Wayne a huge star. Wuthering Heights. Merle Oberon, Laurence Olivier, and William Wyler directing.
Yeah.
Dark Victory.
Yeah.
Betty Davis, Humphrey Bogart, and in a little bitty role, Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
I don't know if this one belonged there. Love Affair.
Not familiar with that one.
But Irene Dunn, who I adore.
Oh, she's cool.
And Charles Boyer, who
He's
don't.
Cool.
I
actually like him. Did you see him in Barefoot in the Park?
Yes.
As the mad Russian guy who lived
Yes.
He was awesome in that role.
All right, in that role, but mostly I don't like him.
Oh, okay.
Love Affair. Okay. Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Outstanding.
That's the original, and that's with a guy, Robert Donnet.
Yep.
Is how it's pronounced. And the beautiful, wondrous, brilliant Greer Garson.
Oh.
I know. Okay. Ninochka with the great Greta Garbo and Melvin Douglas.
Yep.
Is that Garbo's first attempt to do sort of comedy? Because Ninochka's funny.
It's
she plays
funny.
This Russian spy.
I don't know if it's her first.
Okay. One of my favorites. Jimmy Stewart, directed by Frank Capra, in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which, by the way, was so hated in Washington.
Yes.
Washington, I mean, there were grumbles about we have to look into the Hollywood, what are they making us look like, doing essentially a documentary.
That communist Frank Capra.
Yeah, right.
There's a story. There's a story about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, about how it was when France was being invaded in 1940 by the Nazis. That a number of theaters that were that movie happened to have been playing in Paris at the time, and they began playing it
over and
over again because of that there was
ideals in it,
the ideals of it, and they could just see the Nazis coming and invading. That it was just like that's what they were losing.
Okay.
Next.
Of Mice and Men.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, that's
Lon
like
Chaney
a
Jr.
literary... would they make that? Well, I think they did remake it, but it's not... I don't know. That's Burgess Meredith, who most of you guys know as the trainer in Rocky.
Yes.
Right? And...
Lon Chaney Jr.
All right. The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm. Hey, beautiful. I was actually watching that part of that the other day.
Yeah, it was on again.
And it's just it's
amazing.
A wonderful movie.
Movie.
It made Judy Garland's career.
Right. I'm not done. And number 10, Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Wow!
There's whole decades that haven't come up with that.
So guess what? The Wizard, you know who won? Who won with that list? Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz, Mice and Men, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. God, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Stagecoach, Wuthering Heights, Gone with the Wind. Mm-hmm. Won.
Yeah.
So the Wizard of Oz did not win Best Picture.
No.
I think Gone with the Wind pretty much swept. We know Hattie McDaniel
and
Vivian Lee, Best Supporting, Best Actress. I don't think did Gable get it for...
No, I think Victor Fleming might have gotten it for Best Director, but I'm not sure.
Okay. So 1939, and that was, I was watching this thing on TCM last night that said that this was the greatest production of the studio system, and it also was sort of the death knell of the studio system was about to go down.
Yep.
But boy, they sure put out 1939. Any one of those is so much better than the crap Hollywood's putting out today.
Yep, I agree. It's sad. And who knows? Maybe there's simply by virtue of volume of content that's being put out on television and in the movie theaters that we'll be able to look back, in 20 or 30 years and find a similar set of gems.
Well, but I think now, and I've said this, I think the great writers, the great directors, and these so many marvelous actors that are out there. I think you see them in television now, in fact. And I think you see them in, an HBO series, an AMC series, The Wire, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, I guess I'll throw in there. I don't know, Game of Thrones, which I can't watch.
I haven't seen it.
Stuff's good.
I know.
It's extraordinarily well done, and it's sort of these sort of serialized. It's sort of like how Dickens wrote his piece. How you'd wait for the next installment is what we're doing now, and I think this is where the great stuff is happening. Extraordinary writing. Haven't you watched any of those? Did you watch True Detective?
I did not. The kind of thing I've been following Downton Abbey.
It's not as good as the ones I've talked about.
Right, and one of the older ones. It's kind of more old. Is Rome, which was an HBO series.
Okay.
Did you see that one?
No.
You got to see that.
No, I got to get you into.
Okay, which one? Which one would you be at the top of your list of ones that I got to see?
I think the greatest is The Wire. I think it really is, but it's hard. It's very hard. Mm-hmm. It's tough. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But and I think Breaking Bad is way up there too.
Okay,
and
I've
these
heard
are
about
not.
That one.
These are
the meth addict.
Should.
Okay. Yeah.
It's much more than about a meth addict.
I know.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to watch a bunch of drug dealers on the corner in Baltimore, and then you start watching, and it's brilliant. It's just. Well, my brother, who goes insane talking about it, he says he equates The Wire to Shakespeare.
Wow.
It's that good.
Okay.
Okay? It's our Shakespeare.
I mean, as I say, I've been very impressed with a number of HBO series. And the one that got my attention the most in the last number of years or so was Rome.
Okay.
And that's as a historian and just for all kinds of other reasons.
And thinking historically, it was pretty well done.
In most ways, and the way that it lives for me the largest is in giving you insight as to the most. These are like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. You can talk until you're blue in the face, and most Americans won't really get what their relationship was like. But if you watch the series, you'll get it.
More so than if you watch Shakespeare's play.
Read something, or read a Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
That you get the quality of their relationship and what it was that had them be so effective.
Well, one of the things that I would say about The Wire, which I think it's season 3 or 4. What is it? The one that focuses on the Baltimore public schools.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. It is the most extremely. I don't know. Some people couldn't watch that season. It made you so sick. It's as if a documentary were done about how we literally warehouse these kids in these urban districts.
Yeah.
And how we throw them out, discard them, how the ones that have desire get trampled. All this. It is the most it is heartbreaking, but brilliant. And I mean, I think in terms of history, watching that, seeing, because they show you the cynical politicians, and then the horror of the home lives, the drugs on the street, the this, the that, and there it is. This is urban America, a slice of it that we're not supposed to bother with.
Sure. Yeah.
And one of the guys behind the wire was a reporter for the Baltimore Sun.
Oh, wow.
He knows what he's talking about. Another was on the Baltimore PD.
Wow.
These guys know it. And it's as if they've done a documentary.
Years of research. Yeah. Great. Wow.
And the acting.
This is The Wire. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Acting out of this world. If you want, I'll loan you.
No. I believe in interlibrary loan. I'm a firm believer in that.
You don't what? You don't? Oh.
Firm. I can get these. Like, I don't download or stream. I hate watching television on computer screen.
Yeah, I don't like it much either, but sometimes, that's all you got.
That's true. And it's increasingly the case that it's going to be like that.
I know.
I try to hold on. One of the things I'm involved in these days is doing some caretaking with my mother up in Connecticut, and it's the kind of thing that she is just now learning how to use her computer. And so it's like email, it's like that was a huge breakthrough. And now she just moved over into Facebook. And it's just like, whoa. So we haven't gotten to streaming yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No, we are not.
Margaret's telling us she can't see us anymore.
We're good.
Okay. I read Jabberwocky the other day on the... we were talking about made-up, authors who literally create words.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then those words become part of the
lexicon.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that.
And Shakespeare was a biggie in that regard. But anyway, all right. Are we? Oh God, we're almost done.
A couple of moments.
What's your favorite picture, you classical movie buff?
Casablanca.
Yeah, can you watch it 500,000 times?
I have watched it more times than I can count, and every time I see it, I marvel at the artistry of it. I marvel at the black and white photography, the tricks that they use.
No one at the time, including the stars in it, thought it was worth anything.
It was just another movie.
It was just
another one on the being mass produced at Warner Brothers at the time.
Isn't that odd?
The funniest story I had about that was, the final scene at the airport?
Oh, yeah, my favorite.
That they actually couldn't fit the whole thing into the area, so they used a small plane with midgets to create the scale that it looked like a real plane with just attendants.
Was there? What do you mean? I don't even understand. But they couldn't. There were literally midgets there in the.
Those are short people that were of the scale for a small scaled down plane, right? Because they couldn't fit a real size plane into the space they had available to them. So they used, and it's just like, who the hell thought of that? That never would have occurred to me to even try to do that.
Well, you do what you have to do.
That's it. It's like, okay, we can't get the plane in here. Well, we'll make a small plane. We'll get some midgets out there. Who the hell know the difference?
Think of all the phrases from that movie alone. Round up the usual suspects. This could be the start of a...
Yes. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. There's gambling going on here.
Why?
Yep.
And all the gin joints in the...
Yep.
She had to walk in.
Yes.
Play it. They didn't say that. Play it again, Sam. They said... That's a quote that's not quite right.
Yep.
Play it, Sam.
Yep.
I think she says.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was.
You must remember this.
Yeah.
A kiss. Was that song written for that? No, that was
a
already
big
existent
hit.
Louis Armstrong
10 years earlier.
Was it a Louis Armstrong hit? Who was that? You must remember this. Really?
I'm pretty sure not.
A kiss is just a kiss.
It came
as time goes by. Is the name of
that was already on the playlist by the time that movie came out.
Wow. Well, thank you. Nothing like a good old movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can say about now.
Try not to be put off. Some of them people I've talked about with The Wire, they get put off by all the
I'm not
swearing.
I'm not.
And it's sort of hard sometimes with the African American vernacular, but your ear eventually gets used to it. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I love that kind of thing.
Trust me. I hope you do the first season.
Okay.
Once you do one, you hooked.
Okay.
Once you do two, what do you think, Jess? Once you do...
I still haven't started it yet.
You haven't done The Wire?
I have the first season at home, but I haven't started it.
Oh!
Yes. Well, you have to march her to...
I tried to get some other friends of mine older to listen to it, and they can't get by the violence and the... But then, was there violence in Rome?
Sure.
Was there nudity in Rome?
Big time.
Was it? Yeah. Exactly. Come on.
Yep.
Come on. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Jared.
Sure.
We'll see you in a month.
Yes, we'll set the date before I leave.
Okay. Daylee News Nuggets. If you're not getting them, sign up. They're free.
Yes.
He ain't making any money off this.
No.
You sucker. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow with Tom Sokolowski. Enjoy your day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.